morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. Future viewers. My name is Austin Mowell. I'm a high school senior from Marshall County High School. Today, I want to show you how I feel Marshall County can build a brighter future for itself starting today. However, before I can get into that, I first need to explain how I developed my thesis. I use two aspects. First, my heritage, where I've been and what I've seen, and second, the present, what Marshall County already has to build from. But let's start by building from our heritage. Now, for most of you in this room, you don't know where I've been or what I've seen. Over the course of my meager 17 years, I've lived in 5 different cities, spanning 3 different states, moving a total of 10 times. I've been quite the journeyman, to say the least. But with any journey comes a sequester. In my case, a knowledge of various communities, what makes each one of them great. For me, it all started in Fayetteville, Tennessee. Now, most of you know Fayetteville's small, with a population less than 10,000. Thus, it doesn't have the economic pull like other counties have, yet boasts a thriving town square to include the Lincoln Theater. From there, I moved south to Crestview, Florida, just 45 minutes away from the pristine beaches of Okaloosa County, as you can see on the screen here. Now, Crestview, Florida thrives off its location, being it's perfectly in between Pensacola and Tallahassee, Florida. Plus, it's also a great tourist stop for many on the way to the beach. Now, from there, I moved north to Oxford, Alabama. It's just about 3.5 hours away from here. Oxford, Alabama is just about 15 minutes south of Anniston, Alabama, pulling people from Anniston who prefer suburban life. Oxford, just like Crestview, also has a great location, being that it's right in between Birmingham, Alabama, and Atlanta, Georgia. Plus, it's just 16 miles away from Talladega Superspeedway, so it has a lot going for it. Now, from there, I moved back to Tennessee to Clarksville. Now, everybody in this room knows where Clarksville is. It's the 5th largest city in the state. Thus, Clarksville has a lot to offer to its constituents, such as an ability to get a higher education close to home at Austin Peay State University, a plentiful job market, to a touch of beauty, such as the magnificent downtown boardwalk and Dunbar Cave. Finally, my journey ends in Marshall County, which leads to my second aspect of how I developed my plan to build a brighter future for Marshall County. Obviously, everybody in this room knows what Marshall County has to offer. From its great public buildings, such as the Marshall County Courthouse and the newly refurbished Lewisburg Recreation Center, to its rural aspects that you would expect from a rural county, such as Henry Horton State Park and New Lake, but can also offer prospective businesses the ability to have close interstate access with Marshall County's 3 interstate exits to include Exit 32. So it's easy to see that Marshall County has a lot of great things going for it. But when you look at it in my eyes, I see a lot of ways Marshall County can improve. So I went up to my principal, Keith Stacy over here, and I proposed to him a 6-point plan to improve the Marshall County school systems. Now, he loved it so much, he sent an email to Mike Wiles, and here I am before you today with a 5-point plan on how I feel Marshall County can build a brighter future for itself, starting today. Now, to begin, I want to make an aggressive move for Marshall County. I want to do something progressive. I want to do something that's going to require the active participation from everyone in this room. Yet, will not cost the taxpayer a dime. What am I talking about here? I'm talking about using the language that all of us in this room have been perfecting for decades to Marshall County's advantage. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to build optimism again in Marshall County. Now, I've only lived here for 3 years, so it kind of struck me a little off when I go and talk to city and county officials. They weren't as optimistic as I was about Marshall County's future. Ladies and gentlemen, for most of you in this room, you've lived here your entire lives. Be proud of that. Be proud of Marshall County. Businesses rely on word of mouth, most of all, to expand their businesses to new customers. Marshall County should be no different in its community development. Ladies and gentlemen, it's our job to paint a vision to those who live in Marshall County, because those are the best recruiters that we have, are the ones that are already here. We have to get them excited about being in Marshall County again. We have to paint a vision to them, which leads me to my second point. Without a comprehensive plan for the future, all that optimism we've been working on is lost. And I'm not talking about just a 5-year plan or a 10-year plan. I'm talking 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. What's Marshall County going to look like when I retire? Ladies and gentlemen, in order to paint a vision, you first have to have a vision to paint. You can't just build optimism and say, oh, we're going to do all these great things without a plan. James Franklin, Vanderbilt football coach, exemplifies my point of perfection. As a a Vanderbilt football coach, he can't offer prospective recruits the grandest football training facility, nor the grandest football stadium to play football games on Saturday. However, what he can offer is a comprehensive plan. A comprehensive plan from the time that prospective recruit signs with Vanderbilt for the rest of his life. Clearly, his methods are working because he's had the most successful tenure in Vanderbilt football history. So why doesn't Marshall County do the same? Why don't we build a plan for the next 30, 40, 50 years of Marshall County's future so that people in Marshall County can get excited about what Marshall County has going for it in the future? Why don't we build a plan for the future and entice people to come? Which leads me to my third point. Now, we can build this great vision for the future. It builds all this optimism. But we just noticed that some people just aren't getting a hold of that message. We just noticed that some people just aren't getting to the plan. They're not being able to read the plan for the future. So why don't we bring it to them? Why don't we build an investment into our websites? Why don't we build into an investment into what people see of us for the first time? Ladies and gentlemen, in today's world, anybody can know everything about you with just a few clicks of the mouse. Now, the prosperous counties, such as Williamson County just up the road, use it to their advantage. They build interactive websites for prospective businesses to use, even giving out vital tax information with just a few clicks. So why doesn't Marshall County do the same? Why don't we do the same? Why don't we build an interactive website and put our plan out to the world? Why don't we show them how great Marshall County is and put it out to the biggest billboard in the world? Why don't we get vision out there? Why don't we get that vision out there so we can attract businesses to come here? This leads me to my fourth point. How many of you know any web developers that live and work in Marshall County? Anybody? Anybody? A few? Not many though, is there? No. Now why is that? Why don't we have that talent pool that other counties have? Why don't we have the talent pool? It's because we're not developing enough diversity in talent. Now when I say diversity in talent, I mean diversity in interest, meaning that we have engineers over here, web developers over here, artists over here. We have diversity in our workforce. Now why don't we have that workforce? It's because we haven't been investing into our future. We haven't been investing into all the interests that us as young adults have, so that when they go out to college, when they go out to technical school, or when they even go out to the workforce, that they're qualified to go out and work those jobs. If we don't have diversity and interest, then what do we have as a community? It's like a tribe with nothing but Indians and no chiefs. How do you think that's going to turn out? It's not going to turn out very well, is it? We have to build diversity and interest, because the diversity and interest that we build today in our youth will turn into the diversity into our workforce for tomorrow. Which leads me to my final point. You know, we can do all of this work. We can build this massive plan that builds all this optimism in the community and share it to the world. And we can invest into our youth so that 10 years from now, they're qualified to work the jobs that we bring in. But we just noticed that some people like Marshall County. Some of the youth they don't like Marshall County. There's something wrong with it. It's just not big enough for them. Just doesn't have enough restaurants for them. So what do we do about it? What can we do? I think it's rather simple, really. We build barriers, not literal barriers, figurative barriers, to keep the talent in Marshall County. We have to keep the talented people in Marshall County. If we were to do all this work to build diversity and interest in our county, and we do all this work to keep people interested in certain things and go out into the world, we got to make them come back, because we can train them all we want. But if they go and live in Williamson County, all Williamson County is going to do is say thank you. But what are we left with? If all the talented people leave Marshall County, what are we left with? We have to try to entice people to stay. So how do we do that? How do we keep people to stay? We have to get rid of the vibe that young adults like myself are all out to no good, which for the most part, some are. I'll be honest there. But I've lived in 5 different communities. I have never seen a community that wants somebody out of a parking lot so bad. We have to get that vibe out. Because if you want the young adults to get out of the community today, chances are they will get out of the community. And they'll probably take some talented people with them. Because you never know who you're looking at today. The youth of today are the future of tomorrow. So we have to keep the talented people here by building barriers, building magnets to keep the people here. So, that's my plan, my 5-point plan. But did y'all hear me mention anything about how it starts today? How building this brighter future by developing a comprehensive plan that builds optimism in the community, sharing it to the world, and building investments into our future to keep them here. Did I say anything about how it starts today? I didn't, did I? Because it starts with you today. Ladies and gentlemen, I can only do so much. I can only come up here and preach the gospel of community development all I want. Ladies and gentlemen, it starts with you in these seats. Thomas Jefferson is famously quoted for saying, "Don't put off something until tomorrow what you can do today." Ladies and gentlemen, building a brighter future for Marshall County can start today. It starts with you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for your time.